recipe to begin with. Okay, so because I'm stumbling around, flopping around like a catfish on the floor of an aluminum fishing boat in Mississippi in July, I needed to bring some people in to save this show today because I don't know whether I'm going to puke or poop, and or just sit here smoldering in the center of my chest. So I brought in a caller, and I brought in my good friend Jimmy Jean. Caller, why don't you go first? Who dat?
Hey, is this me?
That's the best line ever.
I didn't know if I was already on. I was listening to you talk.
Okay.
I just decided to get on my radio app this morning, the Simple Radio, and I typed in Revolution, and so here I am.
Right on.
I heard you talking about, what do they call it? Kind of like the American Readout movement almost, but you're in, where are you at? In South America somewhere?
Yeah, Central America, yeah, Costa Rica.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. I don't want to downplay what you're doing, but, you know, because it's Revolution Radio, I thought I'd bring something up.
Sure.
Especially for your listeners in America. There's something that I've been looking at for the last 4 years. It's called Committees of Safety. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
And then also the Plan for Restoration of Constitutional Government.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people, like, they talk about that there's going to be a civil war in America in the future, or that we need a revolution and stuff, but a lot of people, it's just talk. This is an actual plan, and I hope you guys check it out sometime. It's following in the footsteps of what our founding fathers did to get our liberty, you know, and our natural rights from the monarch, and now we have tyrants and oligarchs running our government. So
yeah,
we need to declare our independence again as a free people, and get our shit back and get it straight.
Yeah, I agree. Where are you at? I looked up your area code. It says Oregon. Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. As I started listening, the first guy talking, he was talking about what's going on here in Portland with the Antifa people and stuff like that. And
yeah,
in my opinion, it's just a bunch of young kids who are misguided and not expressing their dissent properly. And they, you know, just like young kids, there's that line that goes, if you're not a socialist by the age of 20, then you're heartless. If you don't realize the stupidity in that by the age of 50, then you're brainless.
Yeah.
Socialism and communism and stuff, they're warm and fuzzy, good ideas, but to have a government force that type of stuff is what becomes despotic.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
hey, what do we call you?
Matthew.
Pardon?
Matthew.
Nassio?
Matthew.
No, M-A-T-H. Yeah.
Oh, Matthew.
M-A-T-H-E-W.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
From
That
the Bible.
heartburn's working on my ears here. Thanks for calling in, then. Stay on the line, Matthew. It's fascinating to get someone talking to us from Oregon. You sound like a young man, too, 25 or younger, so that's always some nice input. I'm going to turn over to my man here, Jimmy, in... California, which is a state there that is formerly owned by Mexico, and but they claim to be free now. So, Jimmy, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. It's FEMA Region 9, just in case if you have to.
The ultimate subtitle for California.
Yeah, no,
FEMA
I mean,
Region 9.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate what the caller was saying, and you know, and I think that the part of a lot of what has to happen is there needs to be cogent discussion about how we're going to move it.
Yeah, you need to mute up, Brew.
What is that?
That's Chicago Brew. Probably walking to the door to get a pack of cigarettes, letting the wind.
No, he's not. It's the windy city, man. So you get some wind.
Can you mute that for a second? I was just about to make a point, and it's kind of dragging me away from what I was thinking about here. Anyway, so I think what we need to do is have a cogent discussion about how we're going to move into the future. Hey, listen, I can't even hear.
No, Brew, you got to mute, man. You're killing the whole call here, buddy. Oh, he left. He'll get that figured out. I don't know why he does that. Go ahead, Jimmy. We've been joined by a new caller, area code 270. I'll bring you in a moment, caller. Please wait on mute or as quietly as you can if you can't mute your phone. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah,
no.
I've got my headphones turned down super low, too. I just couldn't hear. No, I just think, we do have to have a cogent discussion about how we're going to move into the future. And what served us in the past isn't necessarily going to serve us in the future. I think it's time for evolution, not revolution. I think it's time to take what we've been given, the foundation natural rights that we get because we are born. We have rights. And the paper structure in the United States only guarantees that the government will protect those rights for us, but that they don't grant those rights. That's an important thing that people need to understand. They don't give us our rights. Those documents don't give us our rights. We put them in a position to protect our rights, and that's what the government's supposed to do. Everything else, pretty much, the government is doing is not the government's business. And so when we start talking about the future, it's not going to look like the past looked in the sense that we have 45 million people that are supposedly unemployed in America right now. A lot of those jobs are not coming back. There has to be some sort of a social consciousness where universal income is going to make sense for people, because whether or not you like it or you don't, it has to happen on some level in the future, because the jobs that used to produce the salaries that caused consumption are no longer going to be there. So the reason the people standing there with fistfuls of money trying to buy plastic items from China are not going to be there anymore. And when those people aren't there, then what is going to drive the economy? If America, people don't like it, but America is the engine for the rest of the world. We buy so much stuff and throw it away every year that it keeps the rest of the world going. And the minute that America stops consuming those goods, the whole economic engine of the world will fall apart. And that's why I joined the call, because you were talking earlier about the ways the things that are happening on a positive note as a result of what we're seeing going on in the world right now. Less air traffic, less cars, less people at work, less crowding. No, I mean, there's a lot of really good people moving back home. People starting gardens at their house. People starting to teach their children at home. People cooking at home. People not eating that crap outside. Who's making your food, man, in that back room, hanging over your food? You know what I mean? People are starting to really come back, man, getting back to basics. And the thing is that is the number one thing I think humanity has to understand, is that if you are self-sustaining through your own energy, if your life and your family and you are self-sustaining through the energy that you put out, you don't need governments. You don't need, just like you were saying, your son-in-law was a barber. down in town.
Yep.
Okay, now he's coming back. Well, all these dudes are up on your mountain. All of a sudden, people are coming back to the mountain. All of a sudden, people on the mountain need haircuts. He's got a barber shop down next to the school or whatever. He's cutting hair once a week. Next thing you know, you got a town that's developing because people are coming back and putting the energy back into their own,
Interesting perspective, and I share that. And anybody out there with like billions of dollars in seed money, I would like my 200 acres here in the mountains of pristine farmland with clean mountain stream water to be a test case for a new super society of a couple hundred people who are doing things that are extraordinary, living in different ways, creating their own energy. So if that actually is in a white paper anywhere, choose Dos Ramas to try. I'll PM that sucker for 2 chickens a week. Just bring it. Now we got to get over to 270 here. I don't even know where that is. I think that's up north around Maine or Vermont. Although American area codes are like Tokyo subway signs to me. I just don't know. 270. Who are you and where are you calling from?
Good morning, Bruce. This is just for a minute. I'm babysitting grandchildren, but I have large compassion for your burning stomach. Baking soda is the go-to.
I'm on that next break. So thank you very much. Just baking soda? I never know here.
You can put a little bit of lemon juice with it and some water, and it's just delicious. But it'll help you a lot.
I'm doing it. That's perfect. Is that the sum total of why you called in?
Yes, and I'll call in another time. But I'm babysitting grandchildren, but I just couldn't let you continue to suffer.
You're not gonna give us your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Deborah. I'm in Kentucky.
Deborah. Very nice to meet you. It's always nice to meet new callers, and I'm quite flattered that grandmothers are listening to McDonald in the morning. I myself have inherited 7 grandchildren through this wife. They breed young in Central America. You can be a grandfather at 42 over here. I'm telling you. It's like a native reserve in Canada.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Be well this day. I listen to you all the time.
Oh, thanks very much. What a kind thing to say. Thank you very much. Okay.
Bye.
So let's pop over to 503, our man in Oregon there, who may actually be in Portland. He may be. Are you armed, sir? Matthew, are you armed?
I'm not typically. You can hear. No, I don't have my concealed carry. But I am an angry armed American.
Angry American. Tell us a little about your age, your profession, whether you're a student, you live at home. Like what's going on with Matthew? We want to I seem to be getting a lot of new listeners calling into this morning show, and it's an opportunity to do a little demographics. Not that we collect stats on our listeners or anything. Well, you could write a book on half the jokers in the chat room. And but how do you end up listening to us? What do you like about us?
Well, like I said, I think in America we're all kind of in this thought process where there's going to be something that happens in the future. If it's a revolution, if it's a civil war, depends on the amount of willingness we are to work together with each other. Like I said, the reason I called is because I just typed in revolution on the Simple Radio search bar and found you. I wanted to hear some people that were talking about something other than status quo bullshit.
Thanks, man.
So I'm 29 years old. I'm a manual labor worker. I've been into the conspiracy stuff, quote unquote conspiracy, because 70% of it's probably true.
I would say so. If I were to write a book or a dictionary, a new dictionary for the 21st century, under conspiracy theory, I'd put information not approved by the Sanhedrin is what I would put probably. But boom, we'll just leave that alone. Go ahead there, Jimmy.
Hey, I was just going to ask, what kind of construction, do you do construction work?
Yeah, I just call it manual labor. Landscape construction. We build company I work for. I'm painting the shop right now. I got you on my Bluetooth headset. But I do all the odd jobs. But we build artificial turf sports fields.
Oh, nice.
And
yeah, man.
natural turf as well.
Nice. Excellent.
Very nice.
Excellent. Well, so
Very nice.
yeah, go ahead. Hey.
I'm 20.
How is it as crazy as we think it is down there? Have you driven through Portland?
Well, I live. They call it the PDX metro area. I live outside of Portland in Beaverton, but it's really not affecting us out here as much. And my mom lives in southeast Portland. It's not affecting her over there. What I think is that they like to trump up a lot of what's happening and say that, just like they want to do with the drug war and stuff, they say it's a huge problem or whatever, and they need to get the emotion of the American people behind them so that they can murder people.
Yeah.
That's the thing. These people out here are they're patriots too, just like me, but they're, like I said before, they're misguided, misinformed about the ability of socialism and communism to work in a country. But they're out there and they're just expressing their discontent with the government. That's it.
Well, I don't know if you, like when I started this show about a month ago, I set up a formula where I would do a book a week. Now I've kind of broken that. I didn't start my book yesterday or today, but I will get back to that format. But the first book I did was Marx and Satan by an evangelical pastor who did 16 years in a Romanian prison. I can't believe there's anybody who still thinks Karl Marx had a few good ideas. I mean, that guy was he was like Charles Manson. He was psychotic. These are fully formed psychotics. They're actually telling you in their primary manifestos. 29 founders of the revolution in Russia. Of the 29 founders, the core committee that brought about the Russian Revolution that started communism and the communist bloc, only 4 survived. The rest killed each other over petty grievances over hors d'oeuvre plates at a meeting. And I mean, these people are bloodthirsty, man. Bloodthirsty. I don't see why people are still thinking this is a good idea. Right? You can see it even in the American socialists, AOC and Pelosi. You just see it in their eyes, in their speech. You just run it through your head. What are they really saying? I want to kill people. I want to kill people. I want to kill people. McDonald over. Hey, we've been joined by Daryl. Daryl, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to say something sensible before I boot you. But I've probably pretty much made up my mind to boot you anyways. I just wanted to give you 30 seconds to humiliate you.
I understand that. The caller from Oregon is your name is Matthew, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I would just like to say to you, man, you accidentally stumbled across something that has been very, very dear to my heart for many years. Revolution Radio. I would like to call it reality radio, but it's probably been copyrighted, so probably legally cannot do so. But please spread the word. And do you know that all the people, there's like close to 100 people that do shows on here, and no one gets paid? Over.
Is that your 30 seconds, you sycophantic some bitch? That was nice.
Well,
Daryl and I are actually, Matthew. We talk off air. I just like to bust his balls, and other hosts can't control him. But I got my whip and my chair, and I can keep Daryl in place.
Yes, you have that gift.
Jimmy Jean, let's switch. I want to switch it over to Jimmy Jean and recalibrate the cylinders on this conversation. I want to get this engine firing again. Jimmy Jean, can you bring us back online, please? His name is Jimmy.
Yeah, my name's Jimmy, and this is...
Did you hear what that sycophantic sumbitch said?
I did.
Red Radio, all love and light,
and
welcome.
I agree with them, and I would say Hawk has been working overtime in the ether space because, ever since Hawk left us, the station has just really moved in a direction that's great. And there's great shows 48 hours a day on Studio A and Studio B. So I couldn't agree more with what Daryl was saying. I kind of want to jump back, kind of want to circle back around like Josie Wales on what we were saying there a minute ago with our caller from Oregon. Because see, the thing about it is, and what you're bringing up are ideologies and philosophies that are put forward by somebody. So all throughout civilization, as we know it, we've had these forms of these ideologies and these philosophies of governing the human race put on us and propagated to us. They've never organically formed from the people. As a way of controlling our environment and our civilization. So what I'm saying is, if there was some type of way of governing that developed organically because of a consensus of the people of the world, or the people of your area, or the people of your county, or the people of your 500-mile square area, where whoever that is, can you mute up?
I don't know if that was you or me cutting out.
Yeah, Jimmy, you kind of cut out there.
Yeah, I'm cutting out because somebody is not muted and it's louder than me talking. So.
Oh, that's probably Daryl. Daryl, you sycophantic some bitch, mute yourself.
I was on mute. It wasn't me.
Okay.
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter.
I'm in a nerd. That was probably, you get a pin drop in here. You can hear a cat.
That was probably me. I was probably unmuted waiting to answer your question.
Yeah, so anyways, what the point I was trying to make was that, I think we have to move into the future that we have here. It's here and now. And, the kind of discussion we need to be having is cognitive liberty, the private space between your ears and your ability to have that be private, not to have electronic interference with your thoughts or your ideas, not to be. I mean, we're moving into a space where there's nobody governing the ideas of the technology, and so you got this mentality of technology saying, "Well, I'm just developing the robot." Okay, just because you use it to kill people is not my fault. You know what I mean? I just developed the software. Listen. The political discussions we need to be having aren't even on the table. So, I mean, I think the idea of moving back into these localized, scaled economies makes sense in the future. And I don't think we need a behemoth-type government. Look, man, I mean, realistically, let's just be...
Gospel, brother. You're right on point, man. You want to take this system down, stop using it so much. Stop complaining from a city with 8 million people in it from your apartment. If you're not more independent than that, you're never going to be independent from this system. You hit the nail right on the head. I can't say it, because I sound like an arrogant sumbitch because I've already done it. You can say it, Jimmy.
Well, I just think, look, with 3D printing, with localized growing, I mean, with all these ideas that people tie around global warming, forget the global warming, man. What I'm saying is, how much fuel does it take to get some piece of vegetable from some country 5,000 miles away to get it to my table when I got people right here that can grow the same vegetables for me? Because the idea of interdependence and globalism has changed the way that economies should work naturally. I mean, you produce, if you have a population, you can naturally produce enough food for your population. If your population exceeds your ability to grow food, your population will diminish. That's how nature works, man. And listen, I'm saying we need to move into the future. You don't have to call it communism. You don't have to call it socialism. You don't have to call it anything. What we have to do is look for the similarities. Look for the things that we all have in common that we need to address and find a way of making that happen. I say localized, scaled economies. You can literally build a city anywhere now. You have solar power, you have geothermal, you have wind. You can go build yourself a little city and live any way you want to live out there. You can elect a mayor and have your own laws.
We'll see you on the other side, folks. Short break.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
We did not engage in conflict that was out of line with our mission.
Is it disloyalty? Is it treason to oppose the hands of tyranny? Never!
I will never send troops anywhere on a mission of that kind without telling them that if somebody shoots at them, they can darn well shoot back.
I know not what cause others may hate, but as for me, give me liberty! Oh, give me death!
That dark cloud is finally lifting across the world as U.S. military intelligence and their global partners are destroying the deep state criminal power structure that has ruled over our planet for hundreds of years.
We are free with the God-given right, and we shall not yield that right to any power on earth.
Hi, I'm Scott McKay. The world is that, and I am your host on The Tipping Point on Revolution Radio, where every Monday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, we bring you the latest in this ensuing takedown of this global criminal empire.
That's an image of strength.
You'll get the raw, hard truth here on The Tipping Point. So come join us Mondays, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern in Studio B at revolution.radio.
Oh, yeah. Remy, downstairs, buddy.
Who owns you? If you're not in control, then someone else is. Join me, Ivy West, for Voices on the Wind. Saturday, I discuss government, health, metaphysics, suppressed science, universal mysteries, little-known incredible facts, alternative energies, and even more than you can imagine. Won't you join us on Revolution Radio Saturdays for Voices on the Wind with me, Ivy West.
There are lives in the balance, people under fire, children at the cannons.
Because if your head's in the sand, your tail is a target.
Galactic Interstellar
Radio station.
From the Talamanca Mountains, the most 9:32 a.m. my time. Bruce McDonald. This is MacDonald in the morning. It is 9:32 a.m. my time, live from the Talamanca Mountains, the most biodiverse 1,000 square kilometers on planet Earth, flat, round, or spherical. You're on Revolution Radio. You're listening to Studio A. We are an entirely listener-supported station. If you want to help us, please go to revolution.radio and hit the Patreon button. Set yourself up for a monthly donation there, or just one off it. And if you want to show me some love, get yourself over to Amazon and pick up a copy of The Light of Darkness, A Warrior's Tale for Our Time, or my book preceding that one, Stardust Ranch, The Incredible True Story. Portals, secret societies, everything you want to know, first-hand information from experiencers in these two books. Incredible, incredible books. Give them a read. And we're right back to it, folks, and who wants to kick the can first? I did bring Chicago Brew in, and I believe he wanted to ask Matthew in Oregon a question. Very, very, very. Is he not here?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Okay.
So these are brand new headsets, so it didn't help me any that Jimmy wanted to just assume it was me. I believe it was.
I didn't know. I wasn't assuming anybody. I didn't call you out. I didn't say anything. I said there's a bunch of noise, and somebody said it's the Windy City.
Hold on. Take it easy. All right, these are brand new headsets. I didn't know if it was me or not, so I called out of the call, and then I did pick it up. It appears to be Matthew's end. He's a brand new caller using a Bluetooth in a different environment, but I just needed to pinpoint it. So hopefully I'm coming through.
You sound great.
I did that. I branded you like a newborn calf at the Yellowstone Ranch there, Brew. I said for sure you were bringing the noise in. I did that. I branded you. I'll take ownership of that. I'm not afraid to irritate people. I'm not afraid to get to stand up in the canoe. But you're doing good now. There's no wind, no birds, no nothing. You're clear. I mean, dude, that's the best $1.99 you ever spent at the dollar store.
Yeah, the shaming culture is alive and well at Revolution Radio. So, Matthew, this question is for Matthew. A couple different things. Well, he answered the how to define Revolution Radio, and Simple Radio is an app that I do have, and you can actually there's certain things I had to get Simple Radio because once they Rents Radio is one of the first ones they blacklisted. I took them off a TuneIn and other things, so I had to find out where could I get Rents without going directly to the website. And Simple Radio is one that offers you can get Rents Radio on there, and then of course I can get others such as Revolution Radio Studio A. I don't believe they have Studio B available there. That's unfortunate, but I'm glad he did the same thing I did, like nearly 5 years ago, where I just started looking, putting in words and seeing what was coming up, independent media, independent radio, Revolution, this, that, and the other, listening to hosts and different broadcasts, and then typing in keywords where I can find them, and then it just kept getting broader and broader and broader of an information base. But one of the things you mentioned, he's doing manual labor and or whatever, but he mentioned they were doing sports facilities. Well, I have to think that's a market that's hitting a low right now because they're not letting anybody play sports without, everything's been crushed. Whether it be like kiddie sports, casual leagues, or the pros. So let's throw it to him and ask him how that situation's going, because right now he's actually painting the shop. So that might be an indication that the work's really not flourishing. Go ahead.
Matthew, what's the score there? Are you doing any AstroTurf?
Well, because of the government, we kind of get a little bit of special treatment, I guess. There's something called Title IX, and that has something to do with equality. And what's happening in Oregon with Title IX is that the female sports teams want to have the same practice and playing facilities as the boys do. The boys all have nice new AstroTurf fields, and so now we got to go renovate and build them up for all the girls, which is good. And we have a pretty good contracting relationship with the city government here in Hillsboro, so we get a lot of jobs like that. But yeah, it does kind of ebb.
Are you a minority-owned business? Are you a minority-owned business?
What'd you say, boy?
Yes, sir.
Are you telling us you have a melatonin deficiency?
My dad's Filipino.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I'm just asking because you.
I don't believe that any of that has any bearing on real life.
No, but I'm just saying. You're saying that they're giving out contracts in a time of economic distress to build up female sports teams, and I'm just wondering. I mean, it seems a little bit. I mean, it seems in tune with the political discussion that's going on in Oregon, but I'm just saying. I mean, it seems just odd, and I was curious because I mean, I've worked in the electrical trade my whole life, and I've been in the union, and I've worked for a lot of companies that were minority owned, and they got giant contracts. I mean, and there was this one black dude in the company. I mean, the whole thing was a scam as far as getting contracts. I mean, that's how they win contracts, because you have favorability because if you're a minority owned, and not to say that that's wrong or bad. I'm just saying that, when you figure out there's a way to make money in a situation, people seem to tend to want to gravitate towards making the grade as far as the paperwork's concerned, because anything you can do to get business. I mean, for example, right now, a lot of people in the landscaping industry, believe it or not, are working. I mean, here in California, even when it was fully shut down and you're supposed to stay in your house, there was landscapers working. So it seems that is definitely an essential trade to have for sure. Brew, what do you think about the cogent discussion that has to be had, man? I mean, don't you think it's time to start wondering why we send people up to Washington to represent us when we can represent ourselves electronically? I mean, why are we sending these fools up to Washington, man, to represent us when they don't even do what we ask them to do? They don't do a single thing, Brew. Come on, help me out.
Well, that's what. I was gonna cut in there with the cogent conversation topic. That's something that I'm trying to do here in Oregon, is start up the committees of safety that is what our founding fathers used to gain our independence from the monarchy, and that's really what it is local government. That's how we represent ourselves right now. The representatives that you talk about, they're dangled in front of our face like a carrot, or like a piece of shit. It doesn't matter what you pick, you're going to end up with a piece of shit. And all of their platform that they stand on is all just handed to us on a silver platter without. It's like we're at a buffet, and that's not how a republic is supposed to run. Because the food that they're offering us is not healthy. It's weird using all these different analogies and stuff.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
But the reason that we're stuck in this consumerist society and whatnot is because of our reliance on Federal Reserve notes and the fact that we're not on a gold and silver standard. We're playing a fucking game of Monopoly all the way to our death.
Yeah, Matthew, speaking of silver, have you picked any up? It's on its big run now.
No, I haven't. Also, lead and Band-Aids.
Also, try to watch the F-bombs you can.
Yeah, this is independent radio, but we say BS and so and whatnot, but definitely we're intelligent conversation here. We don't need to swear. We don't need to use the colorful words, so we use other ones. We're moving to the left with the only 60 words to the vocabulary to be doing all the swearing. So here on the public airwaves, we try to keep it.
I really like what the caller's saying. I think he's got a brilliant. He's bringing brilliant discussion to this discussion, and he is bringing cogent discussion. Because listen, if we went back to localized economies, man, we could ditch the Federal Reserve notes, and we could say gold and silver was money in our town, and you could say, hey man, you want to come to my store? No problem, man. You bring in that $20, you bring in that silver dollar, and it's worth $21 in my store today. You can come over to my store, spend that silver dollar over here, it's worth $21. That's how you do it, man. We don't need any of this noise. Listen, the laws of the federal government of the United States of America apply to 13 square miles called Washington, D.C. The rest of it belongs to the states. We're supposed to be out here independently. Look at the economies that exist within certain states. Trade between the states. I think it's economy between the states. Manufacturing. Guys in North Carolina make good furniture. They traded up in California for some, vegetables. I mean, come on, man. The thing is we got to get out of the idea that we need somebody taking care of us. We don't need nobody taking care of us. We don't need anybody taking care of us. We need to be self-sufficient, and that's the thing. Independence and self-sufficiency is out the window in the future. Everything relies on interdependence. If you can sever the lines of interdependence, you can establish autonomy. Matt, let me ask you a question. Do we need anything outside the borders of the United States? Do we have everything we need in the United States of America to subsist in the United States of America? Could we make everything we need here? Could we grow it all here? Yeah, we could. We could.
Somewhat. We don't grow gum trees here. We don't grow cocoa trees here.
That's cool.
There's certain things. There's certain materials that we cannot get in this country.
Well, you know what? I used to live on Venice Beach. I had an apartment right on the boardwalk, and I lived 100 feet from the Pacific Coast Highway. And I used to say, if it's east of the Pacific Coast Highway, I don't need it. So in other words, I can't get gum trees. That's fine. I don't need gum trees. I got enough of what I have here to make what I need here. And with the new technology, with micro printing, with 3D printing right in your house, you could literally establish a community in the middle of nowhere, pull water out of the air, build your house with comics boxes, and live off solar energy, and never see the government again. And you could be the mayor of your own little town. Yeah, I mean, the thing is everything is here for everyone to step off and step away, to get off the teat. Listen, you know what? What if everybody got? What if they decided everybody got $2,000 a month all of a sudden, and you got $2,000 a month all of a sudden, and you all of a sudden went out in the middle of nowhere and established yourself a community where you built your houses for almost nothing, and now you're getting $2,000 a month just sitting out there? Man, you're living like a king. It's 40 acres and a mule, man. The future is wide open to anybody who wants to grab it. You know, and there's too much fear about the mark of the beast. You know, look.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something to Matt.
Hold on there, Daryl. I just want to say to young Matthew here, first time on McDonald in the morning, what Jimmy's describing, I actually live this way, Matthew. I live in the rainforest. I built an earth bag complex here that sleeps 12. And I grow a lot of my own food, and I keep a lot of livestock. And I write some books. I do some technical writing, and I'm starting up some other businesses now that are based on the land here. So it's actually going on. It's a thing. People are doing it. I'm doing it. It's worth doing. It is the only thing to do now, is to seek your autonomy. I got to put 2 strong underlines under what Jimmy said, because I've been shouting that from the rooftops for a few years now. Autonomy, 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 autonomy. It's the only way to break the system. Daryl, go ahead.
I'd just like to, 2 things, one to Matthew and the other to you, Bruce, and Jimmy Jean. Matthew, first, I would just like to say I am in awe of hearing your young mind being awakened. You know, very rarely I hear 29-year-olds calling into this station, and I'm glad to see the youth of the world is awake as you are. And the second thing I'd like to say to Bruce and Jimmy Jean, I think you two are just like a Reese's peanut butter cup, chocolate and peanut butter. You two go well together. I think you two should do your own show with very limited call-ins.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. But I just want to double underline that you are a sycophantic son of a bitch, Daryl. You know what a sycophant
by saying,
you know what a sycophant is, Daryl? I just want to make sure that this joke is hitting an audience. You know what a sycophant is, right, Daryl?
No, I don't. You probably better explain to the rest of the audience.
Well, you speak ingratiating flattery. Yeah, but thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I like Jimmy. Maybe we can do something together. I think we're going to do something together every Friday on McDonald in the morning. That's already in the works. You kind of read the ether there, Daryl. Way to go. Brew?
Ow, it hurts.
Jimmy, when you start saying, if they give us money every month, and then we can go out and do this, but with that money comes strings. They're putting up boundaries. They're putting up these electronic fences. They're putting people in a box. You're not going to be able to go outside of a certain area. So the second you start wandering your mind, anybody, picking on you. Anybody starts running around, well, they just give me, if this is what they want to do, well, then I'll just take that money and I'll live the most, basic life possible, and I'll have everything I need. Well, they're not going to allow that because it's something, again, with strings, with money comes these strings. So,
well,
we're all ahead of ourselves. These are great thoughts, and I've heard it before, and so on and so forth. There's so many things that I want to talk about, that you talk about. Why do we need the Constitution? Why do we need the Bill of Rights? Why do we need these papers to protect us? Well, that's a grander scale. If we didn't have that, we'd be a slave class just like the rest of the world. Those documents were put here because they knew the world was a prison planet.
Well, you wouldn't be a slave. You wouldn't be a slave class if you're protecting your own self. I mean, you're relying on other people to protect you, to say that your rights, that they're going to protect your rights. I never said the Constitution wasn't a good document. It's not what I said. What I said is,
I would not say that.
When you need a document to prove your rights, then you got a problem right off the bat. So listen, I wasn't saying take the $2,000 and go do what I'm talking about. I'm saying go do what I'm talking about. I'm saying go do what I'm talking about regardless of the $2,000. If the $2,000 gets jammed down your throat, go ahead and take it. Where do you think the $2,000 is going to come from? You think it comes out of your taxes? I mean, where do you think these bailouts came from, Brew? They just print up money. Why? Who cares where they print it up and who they give it to? Wouldn't you rather they give it to the people than giving it to these chumps? They won't even allow you to put a 1% Tobin tax on stocks. They'd rather you go in the streets and shoot each other to death than to put 1% of a tax on every stock transaction that's put off the stock market. Yeah. It could solve every single problem. The problems are solvable, man. Except for we're in a revolution. You want to go round and round. Excuse me, round and round, man. It ain't no round and round, man. It's about to. We have to transcend the government. We don't need a government.
Yeah.
We could hire we could hire corporations to come in and do everything the government does for us. Pay them, and if we don't like what they're doing, they're fired. Period. I mean, I'm sorry, bro. I mean, I'm upset because there's solutions to every single problem we have, and no one wants to talk about solutions. Everybody wants to sit here and go back and forth about who's right.
Okay, it's fine to be upset. Many people are upset, but here's the problem we face right now. We face the immediate problem. They do have their structure in place. They do have their power positions, and they do have an agenda, and they are pushing forward. First, we need to neutralize the situation we're in. If we do not neutralize this, everything that you could say that's a good idea, not combating that, will never happen if we don't get out, if we don't neutralize what's happening right now.
We have to come together and find the similarities, because all of these groups that are against the government, the Antifas, the Black Lives Matter, the whoever it is, I don't care, the Nazis, everybody, the KKK, every single one of these people has issues, but guess what? There's similarities, man. The similarities are there. Look, Lavoy Finicum, he just came out and said he was going to go to an to a Black Lives Matter event. He was going to go there because he wanted to show that these police forces in these urban areas are a cost.
Not Lavoy Finicum. Lavoy Finicum is deceased.
I'm sorry. Ammon Bundy. I'm sorry, because Lavoy Finicum comes to my mind immediately. Listen, he was shot down and killed in cold blood. Nobody did anything. White lives didn't matter then. Nobody was using that as an argument to fight against what Black Lives Matter is saying. Anyways, he's going down there because he wants to say that sheriffs are elected. I just don't have time right now. Sheriffs are the ones in your county that are in charge of law enforcement. Have them hire as many deputies as they need. Get rid of these corporate, government-funded. That's what defunding means. It doesn't mean take away the police. That's not what it means. Yeah. Defunding means take away the federal funding for your police forces, the training, the terrorism training, the training people from the Mossad, having Israel come over and train your police forces to kill you. These are federal funds that are paying for this stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was amazing when Mechanic introduced that into his roundtable on Sunday night and played the whole video of the Bundy speech. That wasn't really clearly ironed out with the callers who called in. I think that they didn't even listen to what he played. But I had listened to it on my own before that roundtable, and I love what Bundy's doing. And it's exactly what you just said, Jimmy. It's people get their shorts in a knot because this guy's talking about defunding the police like Black Lives Matter, but he's wanting exactly what you just said. The police that shot Lavoy Finicum, right? Over.
Yeah, actually,
I'd like to say something.
It was actually we believe it was United Nations French forces. They weren't technically American patrol.
And you know why they could do that? Because they were in a constitutional free zone because they made that little international airport up there, an international airport, and it was all tied into Uranium One with Hillary Clinton, that property up there. They shot that dude in cold blood, man.
I'd like to say something about Lavoy Finicum. Just call this a very, very strong gut feeling I've had for short years now. Is that it's kind of like on your computer, and when your computer gets really slow and you have a really long lag time, and I think that's what this is. No one has forgotten about Lavoy Finicum. It's just, sometime like a good stew, you got to steep it for a long time, and then it's going to come back out, and it's going to come back out, and it's going to have no. It's going to be nothing like anyone's seen. Over.
Get rid of the corporate revenue generators with killing authority and no ramifications for their actions. Ticket writers shouldn't be able to shoot and kill you at the side of the road, period. Man,
yes.
Step into 2020 and, use computerized imagery or whatever you got to do to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt you were speeding. And the end.
Yeah.
You don't need these revenue generators out there.
Yep. We're winding it up here, folks. We got about a minute and a half left in the show. Matthew, any final thoughts? And thanks for calling in.
What the hell? I just wanted water, dude.
Matthew, you there again? Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. I just wanted to encourage you guys to check out this website, outpost-of-freedom.com, and on there you'll find the Plan for Restoration of Constitutional Government. Like you're saying before and whatnot, all these suggestions and stuff, it's like, how do we get there if we don't have a plan? Plan for Restoration is a step-by-step plan on how to take back the federal government and how to get our country back peacefully as possible.
Nice.
It only becomes violent when the tyrants don't want to give their power up.
Yeah, check out PAC.com as well, PAC. We have a host here who does a lot of big thinking about how to get exactly what you just said. His name's LD Bork. Yeah. He's done a lot of good work, written a few books. Jimmy Jean, final thoughts? There's music. This is McDonald in the morning. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Love you all. Good day.